We have a lot of people online too. So that I can see. Jane, I can see the camera is on the Ner Tamid, but I think there is an operator. No, operating the service. I know he wanted to work. Okay. There we go. See? They got you, Jane. Jane was seeing the camera online. It first came on the Ner Tamid, I think on purpose. It was a very lovely way to begin, but we have an operator somewhere. Thank you, operator, whoever you are. And I'm sure that person did that on purpose. So, all right, what do you say? My on-timies. It's 7:32. The wonderful Janet is home recuperating. So you're stuck with Rabbi Steiner on guitar. And I wish us all the best of luck in making music together. So you really have to sing louder than my guitar will be, okay? And if you're joining us from home, you also have to sing louder than my guitar is. Hopefully coming out nicely from your computer. We had a pre-test, and it's going to be great. We are on bracketed page 648 in the middle of the page. Shabbat Shalom, everyone here and wherever you are. That's all. Shabbat Shalom. This is like the Shabbat of leaning into the things that we didn't expect to be doing. Jake thought he was going to come work on the tech team. I woke up thinking I wasn't going to play the guitar today, and you're sitting in services and I've got a guitar on. So I invite everyone to figure out what are all the ways that we are doing things that maybe aren't exactly what we thought we would be or even want to be doing, but it's all good. And when we figure it out together, sometimes Shabbat's a break to realize that the unexpected can be a welcome change. We are on bracketed pages 138 and 139. We haven't sung this melody for Lecha Dodi in a little while, but it is very repetitive, and if you don't know it, you will know it after the first chorus, so we are confident that you will pick it up with us. And we're going to sing the chorus in a lai first, just to remind you of the melody. Sound good? Great. Yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai, yalla lai, yalla lai, lai lai lai, lai 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 lai, lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai, yalla lai, yalla lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, lecha dodi likrat karlai, yalla lai, yalla are home, invite you to rise in body or in spirit, facing the sanctuary, the entrance to our sanctuary. At home, facing an entrance to whatever space that you are in.
Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam besimcha uvetzola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, lechadodi likra kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, mekabelai, lai, lechadodi likra kalai, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, mekabelai.
All right, take a minute before you sit and say hello to somebody who you didn't come with. Find a new friend. Yes. And if you're joining us online and you haven't yet greeted the online community, and there are many of you tonight, please say hello there too. Some of our friends joined late online, and they want to know if Janet's okay. She is okay. She's just a little under the weather, so you get me and my guitar and Marina, and it's all good. Take a seat. And we wish everybody who is home, and there are many of you online talking about who's home not feeling well, so we hope that you continue to feel better, and we're glad that there are all these different ways that we can join together and make community. So this was a better idea when Janet was going to be here, I'll just say, but Marina and I had the idea that we would offer the Sabbath prayer from Fiddler this week because Chaim Topol died, and I think for most people who are familiar with the music from Fiddler, in some way, whether on Broadway or especially in the filmed recording, he's the face and the voice of Fiddler, and sort of in his memory we'd offer this, and this was a great plan when Janet was going to be playing it on the piano.
Still a great plan.
It's still an okay plan. It's just going to be a different plan. So I guess I would offer you just to, if you know the words, to join with us. If you don't, that's fine. It'll be familiar, I imagine, to you. If you grew up listening to Fiddler or watching Fiddler or having Fiddler sort of like in the sort of background of your life, and Marina sort of jokingly said to me this morning, you know, I didn't grow up in this country, and I know so not everybody here grew up with Fiddler, right? Because we weren't born Jewish, or we didn't grow up in this country, or maybe we just didn't live in like a culturally immersive Jewish area, right? That's okay. You might still know this song. So if you did, and you have memories of hearing it or seeing it, just sort of let it take you there, and also it will distract from the mediocre guitar playing, but mostly let it take you to all your memories of that. Maybe you saw Fiddler on recently off Broadway and the Yiddish version of it, which I did get to see right before COVID, which was just amazing. So if it comes back, because it was back for like 5 minutes, right? I recommend it.
For a bit, yeah.
But all the ways that this music has sort of helped us weave through time, it's kind of timeless, a little bit like our liturgy.
May the Lord protect and defend you. May He always shield you from shame. May you come to be in Yisrael a shining name. May you be like Ruth and like Esther. May you be deserving of praise. Strengthen them, O Lord, and keep them from the stranger's ways. May God bless you protect and defend you. May the Lord preserve you from pain. Favor them, O Lord, with happiness and peace. Oh, hear our Sabbath prayer. Amen.
Josh and Selena, would you like to light our Shabbat candles this evening? Awesome.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
All right, Barnard Temple community, what are you grateful for this week? Not a rhetorical question. Okay, I'll start. Oh, Jake is going to start even better. Go for it. Awesome. Jake is grateful for opportunities to visit a school that might be like a great school for next year and to have the chance to figure out what's going to be the right place and to go check it out and have a shadow day. We're grateful just for you, just in general. Good. What else? Cheryl.
Matthew got hired to do a Lifetime movie.
Cool. Matthew got hired to do a Lifetime movie. Well, you know, if he needs to consult with a rabbi, you know. What else is good? On live control, you can write on your good things too. You know that. I will read them. I'm standing right here. Today, this afternoon, I spent the afternoon with my aunt and uncle who live in Australia. My mom's whole family lives in Australia. She is not Australian. My mom's family moved to Australia, which is a bone I would like to pick with them every time I see them, which is not that often, as you can imagine. And I have not seen my aunt and uncle in at least 5 years. Since because of COVID, and it's obviously very far away. And that was really nice because I don't have a lot of family in this country, even though I was born in this country. And they're far away. So Jane Simon says that she's grateful that her COVID is a mild case of COVID. We're grateful for that too. What else? Come on.
I am grateful that my children got to be in the Purim Spiel and were introduced finally to the Beatles music, which I apparently have deprived them of. And now they're asking Alexa to play
That's awesome.
all the Beatles songs.
That's
So
great.
that's kind of
Barnard Temple is fulfilling its mission and introducing people to all the important, things they'll need in life. Yes, the Purim Spiel is super fun.
super fun.
Super fun. Okay. Joanne says she had some nice family visits this week. Bob and Susan say they're grateful to see 2 grandchildren today and 2 more on Sunday. Come on, in person, people. Josh.
We're grateful for this beautiful congregation for welcoming us this past month.
Ah, cool. Well, these are like the easiest lobs. I'm going to lob right back at you like Jake. But Josh said that he and Selena are grateful that Barnard has welcomed them as new members this past month. And we are so glad that you are here as part of our community now. Jane also is grateful that her case of COVID is mild, and trying not to share with her beloved Hugh at home. I guess I don't need this quite yet, so I'll just leave it here, actually. So wherever you are, I invite you to rise in some way that is meaningful to you. We are on bracketed page 123 in your prayer book, and we offer Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh zecher etzion Mitzrayim kivanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. Page 146, we invite you to remain as you are. Yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, lai. Take a breath for Shabbat. Notice whatever it is that is weighing heavily on your shoulders or in your heart, that which is distracting you. See if you can just see it and put it aside for a bit and try to make space for the blessings of our lives. Maybe you didn't share out loud, but you were hanging on to one, and maybe you came tonight in some way to be able to find those blessings wherever they are. I invite you just to take a breath and breathe in your gifts. Shema, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Page 154, please be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levacha vechol nafshecha uvechol meudecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha veshinantam levanecha vedibartam bam בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך
ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Page 159. Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come. The song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more. The song of a world redeemed, the song of peace on that facing page.
Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedor b'kodesh, mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Kamocha nedar b'kodesh, Norah oseh, Norah oseh, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, malchutecha כי פדדנו את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Amen. Page 161, this prayer for shelter and for peace and all the ways that our lives can feel unsettled and unprotected. This is like one of my anchors, especially on Shabbat and in the evening. And I don't know what is feeling most sort of worrisome for you in that kind of protection right now. It could be health, it could be financial concerns in your family, it could just be a feeling of being alone, right? There are storms again in California, a place mightily unequipped for this kind of weather, where they are reeling to recover their shelters, sort of actually keeping them trapped right now. There is scary in terms of the implications politically, unrest continuing in Israel with sort of what's happening with the proposed judicial reforms there. In certain states in this country, there are so many laws being sort of put forward from the conservative conservative political leaders to to make it impossible for especially trans children to get any kind of physical or emotional care, making it actually illegal to care for your child who is trying to figure out who they are and be that person. Whatever your thing is, right? Whatever the moment of feeling like I want for everyone to feel safe, right? That's what maybe this prayer allows us to focus in on, to notice where we do feel safe, to take stock in that, to find blessing in the things that the people, the spaces, the activities that we do, maybe our schools that help us feel more whole. And then ultimately after Shabbat to sort of re-energize and return to the world to try to help bring more safety and more shelter to more people. Or in the Hebrew, on either place, on page 161.
Baruch atah Adonai haborei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu el kol amo Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai haborei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Baruch atah Adonai haborei sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael.
Page 164, please rise. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Hanara, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, Ve'mibigil Lifnei V'nehem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Mashiach Magin, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Abraham Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, B'chayei hakol atah, Rav leHoshia, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayei emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha bal gevurot, Umidom elach, Melech memit umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'emanat al hachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. ata kadosh shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Page 173, please be seated. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands. You are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadecha, v'yirah na'avod. When we behold your heavens, the works of your fingers, the moon and the stars that you set in place, what are we humans that you are mindful of us? We mortals that you take note of us. You made us little less than divine, adorned us with glory and majesty. You gave us dominion over your handiwork, laying the world at our feet. How majestic is your name throughout the earth. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, ulecha na'eh lehodot. The bottom of 179. Don't stop. After beating the swords into plowshares, don't stop. Go on beating and make musical instruments out of them. Whoever wants to make war again will have to turn them into plowshares first. Continue privately.
Ozi v'zimraya va'eli lishua. Ozi v'zimraya va'eli lishua.
Try that with us.
Ozi v'zimraya va'eli lishua. Ozi v'zimraya va'eli lishua. Ozi v'zimraya va'eli lishua. Ozi v'zimraya va'eli lishua. Ozi v'zimraya va'eli lishua.
So our Torah portion this week is called Ki Tisa. And Jake, would you just mind handing sheets out to the people here because you're a good sport. That's it, just a sheet. You pass those out? Do you mind? And if you do it anyway. Thank you. You know. You're a good sport. And even if you do mind, will you do it anyway? That's like life, right? Okay. So our Torah portion this week is called Ki Tisa, and I will always be connected to this Torah portion in many ways, but in particular because I was mentioning to Marina that this is the Torah portion. This is the week that Shabbat, that everything was quiet here again. There was the first week before we moved to Zoom in 2020, but everybody wasn't allowed to come to services. Thank you so much, Jacob Schulteis. We were alone in the sanctuary, which we're glad we're not tonight, and it was just weird. I mean, there was literally by order, there was nobody here, so everybody did the right thing. And in a way, this portion is actually all about relationship. It's about, in many ways, there's a part of it. Well, what's it known? Anybody know what Ki Tisa is maybe best well known for? You might not. It's okay. The golden calf, right? This is the story of Moses has been hanging out on the mountain for a long time. The people are utsy. They convince Aaron to do a thing that Aaron really knows that Aaron shouldn't do, and the golden calf, and then what happens? We're not going to talk about any of this tonight, so it's funny that I'm making you do this now. Yeah, Moses comes down with the 2 tablets. You know this scene. He smashes them on the ground. He returns to God, actually convinces God to not abandon the people. And in that moment, when Moses is about to rewrite the tablets with God, they sort of do it together this time, Moses asks to see God. Moses wants to feel connected to God. So we're not talking about any of those things tonight, but maybe tomorrow morning on Zoom on Torah study. It was beautiful and also sad then in 2020 that was this moment of Moses feeling alone and we were alone, and all of the ways that I would say in this moment, it's beautiful to reflect on that sadness and also the ways that we've learned to be together and all the ways that, this is obviously for most of us the way we like to be together, and there are, Temple members who live in Colorado or Florida or, wherever you are who join us every week. And that we've learned to also be grateful for the things that at one time just felt like we could never imagine life with them. So, but that's not what I want to talk to you about tonight. Actually, what I want to talk to you about tonight is Shabbat. So, I think your sheet and my sheet are a little bit different. Yes, okay. So I know if you're at home, you don't have a sheet, but we're going to do a really good job reading the text, and they're going to be follow-alongable, which is not a word, but you understood me. So we have details for how to build the Mishkan in this book in Exodus 2 times. This is like the end of the first time in Truma, Tetzaveh, and Ki Tisa. The Israelites receive the directions for how they're going to build the traveling sanctuary. Remember last week Rabbi Scheffler talked about part of those directions are the sacred attire we wear, right? The clothes that the priests will wear. And then at the end of the Torah portion, it feels like it's repeating, but what's different is that they're actually doing the building, right? They're doing the thing that they were first commanded to do, which they do now. But there's an important difference in the order here that I've sort of highlighted. On the sheet it says, details for building the Mishkan number 1. That's where we are this week. It goes in this order. First, the instructions for building and consecrating the Mishkan. And then second, after that is given, God tells Moses to tell the Israelites to celebrate Shabbat. Okay, so we have details for building Mishkan, instruction to celebrate Shabbat. The second time around, at the end of the portion, the order is flipped. First, Moses gathers the people and immediately commands them to celebrate Shabbat, and then delivers the instructions for building the Mishkan, which are followed through. Okay, so you can see the inverse thing here. So the question is, why was the order switched when it should seem like it would be more parallel rather than sort of a mirror image? And I think one of our opportunities here is to think about the connection between language and building. The idea of creating a Mishkan is often seen as a parallel for God's creation of the world. So how do we understand this switch? You know what? There's a few enough of us enough tonight Would anybody like to read in English? I knew Jacob was going to raise his hand. I just was really hoping I was going to be right. Okay, Jacob, you're going to be our reader tonight. You can just stay right here. But remember, even if you're not, you can hold the microphone. Okay, you're going to read that. I'll jump in with hard words that are hard to say in Hebrew if there are any. Okay, so the first reading is under a heading that says, "Is Shabbat the beginning or the end of the week?" And this is from a little piece of the Talmud. Okay, I'm going to help you with the weird names, I promise, Jacob. Oh, the R means just say rabbi. That's easy.
Rabbi Huna said, "If one is traveling on the road or in the wilderness and does not know when it is Shabbat, he must count 6 days from the day he realizes he has forgotten and observe one."
One mean like count 6 days and then observe Shabbat. Okay, we'll call this.
Rabbi
Yeah, you got this. Mm-hmm.
Hia B.
Ben Rav said, good.
He must observe one and then count 6 weekdays. On what do they differ? One holds that it is like the world's creation. The other holds that it is like the case of Adam.
Okay, good. So this is like a very sort of classic Talmudic teaching, in that like you finish it and you say what? So what is being asked here? If you missed Shabbat, you don't know where you're wandering, you're with your goat, whatever, I don't know, donkey, whatever animals we'd be out with, and you don't know whether Shabbat happened or not, when it's supposed to be, what do? There's 2 different opinions, okay? Rabbi Huna says, what do? You notice that day, you don't know when Shabbat is, what do? Count 6 days, like we did at the beginning of creation, right? Like, oh, I don't know, okay, so starting today I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Shabbat. Good? Okay, that's one answer. What's the alternate answer? Yes, but how do you figure out when to do Shabbat? Right, so in the second answer, you do Shabbat first, and then you count the 6 days, right? First answer, 6 days, Shabbat. Second answer, Shabbat, 6 days. Okay? So, like, who cares, right? Why? Why are we asking this question? What's the implication here? Well, what do you think before I tell you what I think? Well, which one do you think is right, but what's the implication for which one do we think is right, right? This is a little, it's okay, this is terse. You're studying Talmud with me tonight. Okay, so Cheryl said, what's the beginning or what's the end? Good. I would add to that, to all these great answers, from whose perspective do we count days for Shabbat? So imagine the creation story, right? The creation story, we have 6 days of creation and Shabbat. In that creation story, what day number is Shabbat? 7, right? Not a trick question. That's the way the creation story goes. Now imagine now go back and remember, what day are people created in the creation story? 6. So when the people come to be, what day is Shabbat? 1, right? So is Shabbat the beginning or is Shabbat the end? And the answer is yes, right? Because from God's perspective, Shabbat is the end of the week. But in the creation story, from the people's perspective, Shabbat is the next day. It's the beginning. Are you following me? And that's a very interesting question, right? Is Shabbat the beginning or is Shabbat the end? And it might impact what we see as the goal of Shabbat, or how we're supposed to arrive at Shabbat, or what we're supposed to do with Shabbat, right? Yeah? Are you following? You're good. Okay, my people here are good. And my people on tourists on there, I'm sure, are fine. Okay, so if it's the beginning, well, what's the difference if it's the beginning or the end before we keep reading? Okay, so Natalie says it makes it more important if it's the beginning. Why? Okay, so maybe it's the beginning of the very first thing we do, right? That's why it's more important, because there's like some primacy of it, right? You can't skip it because it's the very first thing you do. Beautiful. I actually hadn't thought of that answer. I like it. Jacob. Use your microphone. Then I don't have to repeat it. You have a microphone right there. See how great that is? And you know how to use it.
So wouldn't that mean that in God's perspective it's the end, and in humans' perspective it's the beginning?
Indeed.
Does that mean, is it both the beginning after the end? Like, it ends and then there's a new beginning?
Yeah, so that's like a lovely, I feel like, tautological Jewish question about endings and beginnings, because the answer is yes, right?
Because when something ends, something begins.
Always, right? Because the minute that the week ends, Shabbat starts, and the minute Shabbat starts, the week begins. Wherever you are in the counting, right? There's like never not one of those two things, right? Because it's all at sunset. So that's a great observation. It's almost like, I think you're kind of saying, does it matter, Rabbi Steiner? I don't know if you're really saying that, but maybe there's a question in there, which is a good question. I think we tend to, well, where do you think we normally think about Shabbat, the beginning or the end? The end, right? We do. I frame it that way. Think about your week, reflect on your week, what are you carrying in here, right? Like, we think about Shabbat as being the culmination of a week. And so it's like rest, because we think of Shabbat as rest. But what if Shabbat was the beginning, not the end? Would we focus on how tired we are? No, I don't know. Maybe we wouldn't. Maybe we'd focus on like getting ready in a different way for the week. Maybe it would be more about like gearing up and not winding down. And it's not that I think one is better or worse, but it's a really different way to think about the perspective of the day. Okay. Jacob Schulteis, you're doing such a good job. Will you read the Abraham Joshua Heschel text that begins, "There is a realm"?
There is a realm of time where the goal is not to have but to be, not to own but to give, not to control but to share, not to subdue but to be in accord. Life goes wrong when the control of space,
You're doing great.
the acquisition of things of space become our sole concern.
Beautiful. Okay, that's also beautifully read. Hard to read Abraham Joshua Heschel sometimes. So how does this add to our discussion about Shabbat? There is a realm of time, Heschel is talking about Shabbat, where the goal is not to have but to be, not to own but to give, not to control but to share, not to subdue but to be in accord. What's the purpose of Shabbat? According to Heschel here. To coexist, like to be, right? And to like figure out how we are with other people and with the world and with time as it moves in this way that is bigger than us, right? And it's like a dress rehearsal for what could be, almost, right? Like Shabbat is practice, or it's a taste of, right? We also often think about Shabbat as a taste of what could be. And from the perspective of the Adam way of counting, we experience that as our very first thing, right? Adam didn't start with having to work, because Adam and Eve, right? This is like in this myth story, right? The first people, Adam and Eve and Adam, whoever they were, Lilith, Chava, whatever you want to call them, maybe they weren't Adam and Eve, whoever they were. But in the story, when we think about our origins, and our stories matter even if we're not sure we believe in them as fact, that's cool, right? We can say, how is it true, not is it true? So in this version of the story, people are created, and the very first thing they experience is what could be. Not the like tiring workaday life that is something more that like we know a lot of our chances, right? It really was a taste of what could be. We start with hope. We start with how important our actions are. Okay, Jacob, you up for one more reading? It's longer, I know.
Sure.
But nice and slow like you're doing. It's very easy to listen to you.
The ultimate end of a society is the harmony of existence that we have not yet experienced, living as we do in a world of work and striving, conflict and competition. God, however, wants us to know that we are aiming at, so we would not lose our way in the wilderness of time. That is why, when it came to the human execution of the building, the Sabbath came first, even though in global terms, the Sabbath of history, the
Messianic age.
Messianic age, the world to come, will come last. God made known the end at the beginning, the fulfilled rest that follows the creative labor, and peace that will one day take the place of strife, so that we would catch a glimpse of the destination before beginning of the journey. Only those who know where they are traveling to will get there. however fast or slow they go.
So remember I said the second time around when the people are doing the building, they're actually doing the building. So why does Rabbi Jonathan Sachs teach that we have the order switched here? Why Shabbat first? Because the people were going to need a taste of what was going to be, right? The task before them was big. They were going to, for the first time, follow the directions and build the Mishkan, this thing that they would take apart and then disassemble and reassemble every time they moved. The guiding structure for what would be the temple. And so they need Shabbat first before they do their work, because they need to know what they're working toward. They're working toward, actually, that Shabbat, that feeling of connection, of coexisting, of sort of being in this thing that is bigger than us. And so if they just had to wait for it till after they finished working, they might not get there. One of the things I love about this teaching from Sachs is that I think it doesn't, you're done and you're doing great, I'm just going to put it up there for when we need it for the next one, thank you, sir, is that it allows us to also feel good about taking pleasure in things that we enjoy, that feel good to us, even before we're like done with everything we have to do, which by the way is never. You're never done with, I don't know, maybe you are, congratulations, but I am not. Right, and there is this permission here, if actually not like an instruction, to make sure that we are letting ourselves focus on that thing, that vision that we're trying to get to. It also makes sure that we don't lose sight of it. We know where we're going. The question for us, I think, in this imagining of the people as the counting, the place to count from, where Shabbat is day one, where we start with this thing, which is the hope, the bigger way that we could live in the world, is, and we're not there yet, right? We're still in Ki Tisa. We haven't gotten to the end of this book yet, where we're going to have the order switched. But is the opportunity for us, by the time we get there, which is only in a few weeks in the reading of Torah, right? We're not that far away from it, is to have thought about what it is that we want, need, hope to help create, right? So that when we re-encounter this story in just a couple of weeks and we hear Shabbat first before the building, we might imagine what it is that we are working toward as we start the building of the Mishkan. What's the vision? What is it that we're traveling toward? And that does take us time and reflection and space to think about together. So we're going to offer our prayer for healing at this moment. And in the middle of the prayer, as always, I'll invite you to share the names of anyone you are praying for or holding close in all of the ways that we do that. And we are in the middle of page 371, if you want the words. Like to share the name of anyone you are thinking about, I invite you to do so now.
We also think of the following members of our community: Eileen Andriano, Trisha Anstey, Phil Good, Marty Borglass, Susie Bernardo, Suzanne Broder, Carol Cassell, Eileen Shangsut, Andrew Citron, Ken Cohen, Yishai Dov Cohen, Lois Kalin, Orit David, Sheb DeRosa, Hugh Dugan, Juanita Douglas, Lisa Dougal, Gail Eisen, Henech Ben Naftali Vemiriam, Raymond Folkman, Diane Fox, Susan Goodstead-Levin, Jill Gordon-Layton, Linda Gottlieb, Jason Hodashin, Gary Harrison, Elizabeth Holland, Seymour Hurwitz, Judith Jason, Dr. Ellen Cantor, James Kaufman, Risa Kaufman, Barry Kessler, Ed Conowitz, Barry Kopfler, Kit Corlos, Nancy Crone, Richard Landau, Andrew Lazarus, Pauline Lever and Lou Lever, Larry Levine, Mike Levine, Beverly Lewis, Michelle Levy, Eugene Lipkowitz, Lucy Macaluso, Matt Mascari, Juliana Merlucci, David Miller, Mickey Norman, Brendan Osis, Andrea Pakin, Hugh Pollock, Randy Ringler, Richard Sauer, Shirley Schnitzer, Dan Schaffler, Joel and Jackie Schwartzberg, Shmuel Ben Blanca, Joanne Siegel, Adam Sifri, Bob Sonnenklar, Rhoda Stein, Erica Summers, Toby Tyder, Karen Untig, Joyce Weinberg and Stephen Weinberg, Teddy Wall, Michael Wolf, and Yakova Bluma Bat Tova Menucha. Misheberach Imoteinu Mekor HaBracha Le'avoteinu those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Page 586 in the middle of the page, please rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, l'tein gedula le'otzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 591 in the middle of the page, please be seated.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Page 598. And we remember with love so many of your beloved family members this week, as we do each week. This week we observe the yahrzeits of these in our community. We remember Judy Arslanian, Louise Baum, it says Meyer, but I'm going to call him Mike Becker, Eunice Berman, Edward Beerer, Rose Blau, William Borson, Herbert Braun, Mac Brown, Beatrice Cassell, Vera M. Cohen, Bertram Cowlin, Lynn Diamond, Dorothy Doblin, Eleanor Dougal, Evelyn S. Dunn, Alfred Ericke, Judith Farber, Carmen Fernandez, Regina Fitterman, Estelle Romer Gold, Glenn Goldberg, Rose Fladdick, Edna Cantor, Nathaniel Kent, Abraham Kleinert, Florence Levine, Louis David Michelson, Rabbi Helga Newmark, Rabbi Max Raisin, Martin Reiter, Harold Rosen, Louis A. Rosenbaum, Rhoda Samborski, Gilbert Schlesman, Diane Shore, Rose Schulman, John Schulteis, Louis Sherman, Helen Wattenberg Schulman, Howard Silver, Irene Weber, and Robert Weil. During this period of Shloshim, we remember Ron Berman, Neil Mason, Grace Silverman Gold, and Ronnie Konigsberg. There are others you are remembering and you'd like to offer their name aloud. I invite you to do so now. Zichronam livracha, may the memories of our beloveds continue to become blessings as we weave their legacies into our living. And we rise together as one community. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah be'alma divra chirutei ve'amlich malchutei v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael ba'agala u'v'zman kari v'imru Amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lalmei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yit'halal shemei dekudasha b'reichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'yimru Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all people everywhere. And we say together, Amen. A couple of quick announcements. I think, asterisk, that there may be a table outside with mishloach manot gifts, yes? If you did not already take one, if you did, cool, you got yours. But if you didn't get one yet because you weren't here for Purim, please take one home. They are a gift from the congregation and the sisterhood, and they are really meant to go home with every family. So if your family hasn't taken one, please do. Next week, you will receive an email from the temple with information about some new mission vision work that we're starting to undertake. It's been, I don't know exactly how long since the Barner Temple mission vision was rewritten, but let's say this is my 13th year here, and it was in place meaningfully before I got here. So it's a good time, it's a good idea to continue to sort of check in with mission vision and make sure that what we have as our sort of guiding words are really who we are now. So we're well underway, and we're at the point now where we're excited to ask you sort of what Barnard is to you and what you hope Barnard will be for you. A very short survey will be coming out, and then next week during Shabbat services also, our own Chani Geter, who's helping to lead that work, will be offering Devar Torah and sort of help us understand that a little bit more, which I think will be really cool. And then looking ahead to next Sunday, the 26th, that's next Sunday. No, in 2 Sundays. Okay. Next Sunday, the 19th, there's a big Passover program we're planning. And we're pretty sure there'll be something for everybody there, whether you want to learn how to like make your Passover more Seder friendly for kids, or you want to really deep dive into some of the texts of the Passover Seder. There's going to be learning and experiential stuff and charosa tasting, and some music that you maybe always skip because you don't know how to do it. We're going to help you. That's our part. Part of our part. So that's the 19th, and then the 26th, in addition to Men's Club Sisterhood things, there's a chamber concert, which we used to do every couple of years or every year. We have a lot of really talented congregants, as you know. Marina is one of them. Janet in absentia is another. And Lori and Lanny, who are professional and extraordinarily talented string players. Lori plays the violin and Leonie the cello. Do you see how I'm showing you how that goes? Are really exquisite, and you heard them both during the high holidays also, are going to be, we're just so lucky that we're going to have like a chamber music concert, like legit, not like legit, on the 26th, and wine and cheese, right? So you definitely want to come to that. And it's at some time in the afternoon. I'm going to say 3 o'clock on the 26th. So lots to do, and we're excited to be with you. And I was going to ask Jake if he wanted to hold the challah, but he's done a lot, so we'll leave him alone because he's been an excellent sport/helper. All right.
Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam,
hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom. Oh, say shalom imromav. Say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu 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 ve'al kol Yisrael.
I have 2 other announcements, sorry. One is that Torah study tomorrow is only on Zoom, not in person, because it's going to be slippery. And the other is, and then I'll let you go really, that same weekend of the Torah of the concert, Shabbat morning, the 25th of March, we've been invited to join the Temple Israel and Ridgewood community. Rabbi Dan Freelander is going to be their scholar in residence that Shabbat. They've invited us to join them for services and a lunch with him after. Barnard Temple members are not great at signing up for things in advance, but they've really asked us if we're going to come to please sign up, and you're going to get the information to do that shortly from the temple. So I think we should go, and you should sign up because they're going to order based on numbers. So, buck the Barnard trend of not signing up, and sign up and go. Shabbat shalom. And thanks for putting up with my guitar.